Today on The Real Story, from a hospital cyber attack to a school data breach, the need for tech regulations in Connecticut is apparent as ever. Senator Tony Wong is here to talk about new laws to better protect your private personal data, plus how Connecticut can embrace new tech while still keeping people safe. Possible solutions and next steps, all part of our conversation with the state senator. But first, State Comptroller Sean Scanlon is joining us to delve into the details of major programs here in the state, from retirement savings plans enrolling more than 17,000 residents and supporting more than 4,000 businesses, to long-awaited flood relief and how Hartford residents can get that money for the decades of flooding damage they've endured. That's all coming up on The Real Story. Good morning, and thanks for joining us on The Real Story. I'm Emma Wulfhorst. Today we have State Comptroller Sean Scanlon with us to talk about everything he and his office are up to lately. Sean, thanks so much for being here with us.
Great to be back.
So every time we have you on, we like to ask you to explain what your job is, because a lot of people might not know, but we've said before, as comptroller, in a lot of ways you sort of act as Connecticut's accountant, and that includes setting people up with retirement savings. So tell me, for those who might not know, what is this MyCTSavings?
Well, MyCTSavings is a pretty simple program. The premise is that we want everyone in Connecticut to have access to a retirement account. And with a retirement account, they can properly plan to actually retire and be safe and comfortable in that retirement. The problem, Emma, is that half of the workers in Connecticut don't get offered a retirement program at their job. And most of the time, it's not because the employer doesn't want to offer one, it's because they can't afford to offer one. What MyCTSavings does is it says if you have a business or a nonprofit with 5 or more employees, you can sign up through my office to give all of your employees a retirement plan without any cost to yourself. And we've been working really hard to spread the word about this because the deadline is coming up. And so far, as you just mentioned, we've had a lot of success signing up companies, and I think we'll have even more as the year goes on.
Well, and you had this goal of 4,000 businesses. You've blown past that with more people still signing up. So as you just said, extended this deadline to August 31st, coming up soon. So just to be clear, what do Connecticut businesses have to do by then if they still want to sign up?
So by law, right now, every single business in Connecticut with 5 or more employees has to go to myctsavings.com by August 31st and either tell us whether they offer a retirement plan to their employees. If they do, they're all set and they're exempt from the law. But if they don't offer a retirement plan to their employees, they do have to register. Again, it's free to them. It takes only a couple minutes. It's not hard at all. And once they register, we contact their employees. We set up a Roth IRA account for them. And the choice to save is theirs alone. And if they want to save, they just tell their boss that they want to do that. The boss puts that into their payroll, and it's out of sight, out of mind for both the boss and the employee. I've traveled the entire state of Connecticut, talked to so many business owners, so many employees, and all of them say it's very easy, and they're excited to have their very first retirement accounts.
So you just mentioned traveling all around the state. I really don't think anyone in state government is having more fun on the job than you, especially lately. You've gone from, toy stores, manufacturing floor, to pizza ovens, breweries, all to talk with businesses, as you said, about this MyCTSavings and their different needs. Businesses are a state's backbone. So I'm curious, you said you're talking with them. What have you been hearing from all the places and people you've spent time with?
Well, I'm hearing a lot of support for this program, and I think there's a tendency for businesses to naturally be a little skeptical when somebody shows up and says, hey, I'm from the government, I'm here to help you. But when they realize that this is free to them and it's a way that we're asking them to help us help their employees, they think it's a good thing. I would also say, Emma, that I think there's a lot of optimism right now in Connecticut. I've lived in this state my whole life. There's been times, especially in the last 10 years or so, where, us Connecticut people are a little down on Connecticut's, future, and our finances have had some trouble over the years. We've cleared that up. We've had 5 consecutive years of budget surpluses in our state. This year, the legislature passed the largest tax cut in the history of our state. We've paid off almost $10 billion of pension debt just in the last 3 years. And we've got a rainy day fund of over $3 billion, the fullest it's ever been. So for the first time in a long time, I think people are finally feeling some real optimism about just Connecticut government and Connecticut's economy. And I think that that's something I'm seeing when I'm out on the road talking to folks.
Right. And so switching gears a little bit here, your office was tasked with overseeing applications for Hartford residents to get relief money for flood damage and repairs, something they've been dealing with for a lot of years. And that money, lawmakers admitted, was long overdue. So let's go over the logistics of this program. It's getting off the ground now, starting with how much money is there, and for people, what is it able to go toward?
Well, like you said at the beginning, most people don't really know what the comptroller does. It's because we do so many different things. And I did not anticipate running a flooding mitigation program earlier this year, but we're good at taking on projects here at the comptroller's office. And during this legislative session, the legislature thought that we would be the best place to run this program. And so what it is, basically, as you said, is that for years, there has been really bad flooding in the north end of Hartford in particular, and residents have never been properly compensated for that flooding. And so what this program does is it creates a $5 million pool of money that my office, along with an administrator who was chosen by the governor named Dr. Gary Rule, will work together to put together an application process that we announced last week. That's starting on September 1st. Any resident that's eligible for this program in Hartford can apply through my office to get some compensation for any damage that they occurred from January 1 of 2021 on till today. We've had some bad storms this summer in Hartford, and if you had damage for that storm or any storm, frankly, since 2021, you are eligible to apply for this program and get some help for it.
And you announced earlier this week applications are going to be opening up in just a couple weeks on September 1st. So what does someone have to have or prove? And then how long should they expect the process to take before they might actually receive their payment?
The first step is that they have to be eligible. And eligibility here means that they have to live in Hartford. They have to own property in Hartford, whether that's a home or a business, or they can be a renter and have lost some personal property due to this. The first step of the process after September 1st is proving that you are eligible. And once you prove that you're eligible and you are deemed eligible by our office, the next step is that you have to go out and get your property or your home inspected by a licensed inspector. And once that inspector comes back and tells myself and Dr. Rule, the administrator of the program, what their assessment of that damage was, we will make a decision of whether or not to accept that application or not. All this process is going to take place over a 60-day period of time. So we have 30 days to deem them eligible, and then there's 30 days from the time we get that report of the actual status of their property to make a decision. So we know that, as you said earlier, people have been waiting years for relief for this, and we want to make sure that this money is getting out quickly. We are starting this process, as we just said, on September 1st. By law, I didn't even have to do that till January 1st. I understand how important this is and how timely this is. We're working to get it done very quickly, and I'm glad that we are starting on September 1st, going to get this money out to people this fall.
Right, and this flooding has been, an issue for years in the capital city. So any damage, as you said, from 2021 until today is eligible. How are you going to tangibly see these payments make a difference? Have you seen and heard anything from people who might be planning to apply?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I was in a church right after the 4th of July in the north end of Hartford that was flooded. I've been in people's homes that experienced damage where their carpets were destroyed, their TVs were destroyed, their property that they were storing was destroyed. And sometimes insurance doesn't cover that. And sometimes they weren't able to get compensated for that. This is the first time that people in that Hartford area that have seen these storms becoming more frequent and more severe, that they're going to be able to get help for that. And I think this pilot program, which it really truly is a pilot program, is a potential model to try to help other people who have been impacted by this. And I think we're going to see a lot of interest in this program, but the needs are wide, and what they will help people with certainly vary based on the person. But at the end of the day, whether it's helping your business, whether it's helping recover things that you lost in a storm, this program will help with that.
Absolutely. And really quickly, final thing here, you mentioned this is going to cover a lot of different needs for people, and you're saying that this need might be widespread. I know there really aren't estimates yet on how many people might end up applying, but we heard the Speaker of the House say earlier this week at the announcement that this $5 million, if it runs out and more people are in need, the legislature might go back next year and put more money in. Is that something you're encouraging from the comptroller's office?
I think we want to make sure we see exactly what's happening on September 1st. We figure out what the demand is, and we will make sure, and whether it's the speaker, the governor, the mayor, myself, we have all been very clear that if 5 million is not enough and we have people that are deemed eligible by the administrator and our office, we will make sure that they get the funds that they deserve. If it takes more money, we'll do it, but we want to make sure that everyone is properly compensated for the damage that's been caused through no fault of their own, I might add.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Sean, as always, for coming on and talking with us. Definitely a busy time right now over at the comptroller's office.
Yes. Thank you for being here.
I'm sure we'll talk to you soon. There's still more to come on The Real Story. We're all on our devices all the time, even now, as you might watch this. But when it comes to keeping you and your personal data safe while still embracing new tech as a state, there's some new laws and discussions at Connecticut's Capitol we want to delve into. Stay with us. We'll be right back.